Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Steve with thesalessyndicate.com, and on today's video, we're going to cover the 6 things that if you will implement into your sales process, really within the first 15 to 20 minutes of your conversations, will have a drastic impact on your overall closing rate. So you're going to want to stick to the very end, because I can almost guarantee there are 2 things that you're not implementing into your current sales processes that's having a big impact on your overall closing rate. So stay to the very end and let's get going. Okay, you guys, let's jump into the 6 things that are going to have a major impact on your overall sales or overall conversion rate as you're offering your services and products. The very first one isn't necessarily a tactic, it's more of a mindset concept going into the sales process. So first and foremost, I've reviewed thousands of coaches and consultants' sales calls and presentation. And the one thing that always stands out when somebody has a poor closing ratio is desperation. When you're coming into a sales conversation under the pretenses of, man, I need to make a call, I need to make a close, I need this customer to buy because I've got to make payroll, I've got to be able to cover my ad cost. If you're going into that with that mindset, you reek of desperation, okay? Trust me, the prospect needs you to help them with their problems more than you actually need them as a customer. You've got to remind yourself going into every conversation that you're there to serve them, that you're there to help them, that you're there to help them overcome major problems that are happening inside of their business, their life, regardless of whatever products or services that you actually sell. But the moment that you're going into it with the mindset or the energy that you need them as a prospect to pay you for your services and products, more than the problem is that they're trying to solve, you will stop closing deals. Go into it with a framework of, this customer needs me a heck of a whole lot more than I need them. I'm here to give them value. So switch that paradigm first and foremost, you guys. It will have, trust me, a major impact on your overall closing ratio. That's number 1. Okay, you guys, so number 2 is do not be afraid to talk about the results that you've been able to get for other customers, especially when it pertains to their problems and services. So oftentimes when I hear a coach or consultant's sales presentation or process at the very, very beginning, there's really no explanation as to the types of, hey, here's what I do, here's what problems that I solve, here's where I'm really strong, here's where I'm really weak, here's what I really focus on. And ideally, the things that you're talking about that you focus on with people, you know your product or your audience or your avatar so well that the things that you're talking about as far as the problems that you focus on as a coach or business owner are in alignment with the problems that the prospect is actually trying to solve. So oftentimes I hear this frequently where the coach or consultant isn't talking about themselves and the work that they've done to solve specific problems. Do not be afraid to brag about yourself, all within the right context, but make sure that you're coming to prepared to talk about the results that you get and how your experience transitions into helping them to solve the particular problem that they have. Okay, so number 2, do not be afraid to talk about the statistical results that you've been able to accomplish with a specific amount of people that you've worked with. Oftentimes I'll hear coaches or consultants that have worked with a ton of different people. They've helped them to overcome major problems, but oftentimes in their sales process, they're neglecting to even talk about that because they feel icky, or they don't want to like brag about themselves, or they feel like, oh, this isn't about, the me show, which is certainly not. The conversation has to do with helping the prospect solve particular problems that they have in their business. But when you leave out the fact that you've helped this many people accomplish this many results all within these time frames, you're really depriving the prospect of the confidence level that they need in order to actually move forward and purchase from you. So that conversation should all happen within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation. Here's who I am, here's who I work with, here are the results that I actually get. Okay, so number 3, you must focus and you must talk about the specific problems that you overcome. I'll give you an example. If I was talking to an agency owner, and let's say hypothetically, I had a course that worked with agency owners on helping them to be able to scale and grow their business. I know that there are some core factors that agency is trying to solve, if not all 4 of them, but one of their major pain points is going to be at least one of the four, if not all four. That is, first and foremost, it's going to be leads for their own agency. Number two, it's going to be their closing ratio of those leads. The third one has to do with the price point of their service and product. And the fourth issue is going to have to do with their ability to scale and grow a team. So if I'm pitching or presenting and my course or product or service helps to overcome those four things, out of the gate, I'm going to make a statement that we work with agency owners that are trying to solve these four things in this period of time. And I'm going to name those out. And at the end of that conversation, I'm going to ask them, as a priority, knowing what it is that we focus on, what is it that you need the most help with? All four of them? Or is there one that stands out to you more than the other? So what that's going to do is that's going to give the prospect extreme clarity as to what your world class is and what you're great at helping them to solve. And it also gives that additional confidence that from a prospect standpoint, boy, this person or this company or this brand or this coach or consultant really understands how to help me solve my particular problem. Okay, so number four is who you specifically work with. Now, this is very, very important because when it comes down to it, as a business owner, you are looking for ideal prospects. So if you're, well, let's say as a hypothetical question, if you're a life coach, I work with women that are trying to that have issues with confidence, relationships, and I help them to be able to accomplish X, Y, and Z as long as they are coachable and teachable. So you're giving them a real clear guideline as to who you do work with. And then obviously number 5, spoiler alert, is who you don't work with. Okay. So you want to make sure that that prospect, all within the first 15 minutes of the conversation, has absolute clarity as to who you work with. And then the fifth one, number 5, is obviously who you don't work with. I'm not interested in working with people that have sob stories, that aren't coachable, they're not teachable, they're this, that. Whatever your criteria is of who you specifically want to work with, that has to be stated all within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation. Number 6, you guys, I like to call this ethical scarcity. Now, I'm not talking about timers and action taking, this second or get off the pot. But, one of the things that I've identified with a recent customer that I'm working with, helping them to build out their back-end sales organization, is that they sell probably about 125 to 150 products every week online. And their coaching program or consulting program for business owners is a very, very small audience, or they take on a very, very small group of people. They only take on about 10 to 12 people and help them to integrate certain processes into their business. Now, one of the things that wasn't stated inside of their sales process is the fact that they only take on a certain amount of people. So one of the things that I worked through them is that they had to implement the fact that they only take on a very small group of people that fit the specific criteria that they're looking for in order for them to be able to move forward. Now, all of a sudden, this switches the paradigm of the conversation. Now what's happening is at the end of that first 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation, people are actually selling themselves to them as to why they should actually consider working with them versus the business owner or the sales reps now trying to convince people that they should actually work with them as an organization. So it's completely flipping the paradigm. If you'll implement all 6 of this into the first 10 to 15 minutes of your conversations with people and give absolute clarity, you're going to find that people are going to start convincing you why you should work with them, why you should allow them to pay you money. And it's going to set yourself up for a better closing ratio and better customers because you're absolute clear right out of the gates. So you guys, do me a favor, click the like button, smash the comment section, to subscribe as well. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. I'm always happy to address additional questions or comments inside the comment section. And I have another awesome training coming up here for you. Stay tuned. You're going to want to pay attention. We'll talk to you guys soon.